I was going to make this video and just talk about something very truthful, how there's people that don't believe in God, right? In Jesus, the Bible. I'll say this. Me, myself, I didn't grow up into a Christian household. I wasn't born into a Christian household. I never really believed any of that. I didn't become a Christian till 5 years ago, almost 5.5 years ago. Now, I'll say this though, even if you're somebody that doesn't believe, all it takes is just downloading the Bible app or, picking up the Bible itself and just reading the 4 Gospels or the book of Revelation, to know that the Bible is the truth. And not even just that, even if you're somebody that really doesn't believe, it says, you can't deny the fact that things in the world today, the America today, something's different. It's not the same America, we grew up in the 2000s, all these, things that have been happening recently. I'll give a Bible scripture, first off. Matthew 24:12. Jesus said he was talking about the last of days. But because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Iniquity means lawlessness, evil, wickedness. And, what have we been seeing just this year? What have we been seeing? We've seen just this year, Charlie Kirk was unalived just for preaching Jesus, telling people about Jesus, standing up against all the wicked, evil agendas they're trying to push on people, He was waking people up from the Matrix. They got rid of him. Look what happened. Just this year, that girl that came here from Ukraine, Ukraine, she was on a train, minding her own business, had her headphones on, a hat on. Somebody, for no reason, felt the need, got up and just started stabbing her. She died. How about the incident just this year in Cali, California? People broke into an old man's store, pushed the old dude to the floor, stole his stuff out of his store and ran, left the store. How about the incident that just happened just this year? There's a person in a grocery store, pulled out a pocket knife, just started going around stabbing people in the store. How about just, recently, the new Demon Slayer arc from the anime, the arc that was released in theaters. Somebody was in the theater, a man was in the theater. He started peeing on a kid, just started peeing on people. Like, what? And it's crazy because, again, Jesus tells us about this stuff in the last days. Matthew 24:12. Jesus says, he was telling his disciples, he was talking about the last days. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And what are we seeing? We're starting to see an increase of lawlessness, wickedness, evil. People coming out of everywhere and anywhere doing the most evil, wicked of things. It even tells us in Isaiah 5:20, who to you who call evil good and good evil. And that's what we're starting to literally see. People doing the most, being so bold, going out in the real world, doing the most evil of wicked of things. And we have, people in this world that look at it as good. But yet when you're doing something good, whatever it may be, you're looked at like an evil person. Isaiah 5:20, who to you who call evil good and good evil. I want to say this too, again, even if you're somebody that doesn't believe in the Bible and God, you can't deny the fact a lot of things going on in the world today. Hey, you can't deny the fact things, the USA ain't the same as it was back in the early 2000s. And again, we could even go to 2 Timothy, I've talked about this, 3:15. It's talked about how in the last days, the younger generation of people, mid-20s, early 20s, even the middle teenagers will be the last generation of, people, of young kids, young adults, will be prideful, arrogant, cocky, boasting, disrespectful, disobedient, lovers of self. And and even, again, even if you're somebody that doesn't really believe in that stuff, you can't deny the fact. If you look around today, a lot of this younger generation, the last generation that spoke up in the Bible, we see it today. We see it today. A lot of this younger generation today, maybe not all, but a lot of them are prideful. They think they know it all. Can't tell them anything. They're arrogant, they're cocky, they're boasting. They're lovers of self. They go around taking selfies of themselves, with their device. Lovers of self rather than lovers of God. Some even abusive, disrespectful to their parents. They have a form of godliness but deny the power thereof. I just wanted to say this, I myself, I wasn't born into a Christian household. No, not at all. I didn't become a Christian myself until like 5.5 years ago. But I'll say this, even if you're somebody that doesn't believe in the Bible, you don't believe in that stuff, you can't deny the fact that the things that are going on today, especially just this year that have been going on here in America, it's crazy. It ain't normal. People, every time you turn around, coming out of anywhere and nowhere, coming out of everywhere, just anywhere and everywhere, doing the most horrible, evil, wicked of things. Again, it leads us back to Jesus told us about this. In Matthew 24:12, he was talking to his disciples about the last days. But because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. And we're starting to see it. People are coming out of anywhere and everywhere doing the most horrible, evil, wicked of things. It even tells us in Proverbs 14:12. There's a way which seemeth right unto man, but the end thereof are the ways of death. That's why Jesus even tells us in Matthew 7:13, enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. That's what it even tells us in the verse Proverbs 4:19. But the ways of the wicked are like total darkness. They have no idea what they are stumbling over. Proverbs 4:19. It tells us in Proverbs 4:19. But the ways of the wicked is like total darkness. They have no idea what they are stumbling over.